Hey, good morning, and welcome to Divine Dirt Inspirations. I'm Michael LeBlanc, and glad to have you join me. Today's inspiration is about a Hawaiian healing technique called Ho Oponopono. Took me a little bit to learn how to say that. Hey, Anita, please say hello as you join in. Thanks for joining. But it's a Hawaiian healing technique. It's called Ho Oponopono. I took some training in it a few years back, and then there's a guy named Joe Vitale who also has a couple of books called Zero Limits, and then I forget the name of the second one. But it also talks about the process and how he found out about it in his time with one of the kind of main teachers of the Ho Oponopono process. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And so my book, Divine Dirt Inspirations, we're going to talk about blessing a situation. And I wanted to share just a couple of examples that I had when I used this particular technique to bless a challenging situation and sort of share some of the outcome. Now, when I took the training itself, there's some different workbooks they provide. There's a long version of this sort of prayer, if you would, that is used. But through time and practice, there's an actual shorter version of 4 phrases. And it's the 4 phrases that I've incorporated and was using in the story I want to share today. And it's the 4 phrases I use in a energy meditation I created called Return to Wholeness. And I use the 4 phrases of Ho Oponopono to bless and balance our energy centers. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Hey, Janelle, thanks for joining in. Again, please say hello as you're out there. Kind of lets me know you're around. So here's what was going on. I was in Vancouver, and it was a 2-day, all day long kind of development meeting. Probably about 8 people getting together. A lot of brainstorming, a lot of coming together, trying to create this training course. And different, I don't know if you've ever been to meetings and you've just got different strong personalities. And you've got people who are passionate, and you've got people who have their opinions. And I'm guilty. I was definitely one of those folks. I was passionate about some things, and I had my opinions about how some things should go. And the way I start off this story is I walk into my hotel room at the end of the day, and I'm just thinking about how rough of a day it was. And it was just a rough meeting. It was just a kind of a clashing of personalities. It was a battling, if you will, of people just wanting their idea. And maybe you've been in conflict before where people are just passionate and they feel like they're right and other people aren't. And so it was just a stressful day. And I get back to my hotel room, and all I can think about is we have a whole nother day of this crap tomorrow. And I'm dreading that. And I sit down on the couch in this hotel room, and I just recall the Ho Oponopono process. And it's 4 phrases. And it's I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, and thank you. So it's those 4 phrases. I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, and thank you. And that's the abbreviated version. The long version, if you ever take their classes and courses, they'll teach you different techniques and tools. But that's the short version, and that's what I decided to use. Now, a little bit about the phrases, though, that I wanted to share before I kind of tell you what happened. Each phrase, so there's a guy named Hawkins. He's an MD. He did some research on kinesiology and body testing, and he created what he calls this map of consciousness. Hey, Katie, please say hello as you're chiming in. I'll chime back after. And Hawkins created this map of consciousness. Now, in a brief way to describe it, everything has an energy and a frequency and or if you will, more common term is a vibration to it. And excuse me one second. And what he did is through his scale, anything that registered 200 or lower was considered, it weakened your system. Anything that registered above 200 strengthened your system. All right, so just kind of keep that in mind. So if you think of emotions having a certain frequency and vibration to them, so hatred, guilt, depression, those register below 200, have a weakening on our system. Things like appreciation, joy, love, even forgiveness, those sort of things, gratitude, register higher. I shouldn't have sat in the pollen, but my oak leaf hydrangeas are doing good. I wanted to just kind of have that in the background. So here you go. I'm going to show you, there we go. So I love you registered at 500. I'm sorry at 350. Forgive me 350. And thank you at 510. So when you think of those four phrases, I also want you thinking about the energy of those phrases. And according to his map of consciousness, each of those phrases is definitely above 200. So it has a strengthening quality on our energy system and on our physical system. So here we go. So I'm in my room. The meeting's been a horrible day. I know we have another full day of it tomorrow, and I'm not looking forward to it. And I wanted to see, well, what if I bless the situation? And so I sat on my couch in the hotel room, and I just went within, kind of took some breaths, got into my heart center, and I really envisioned us. I envisioned our group. I envisioned the room we were meeting in, and I just envisioned all of us. And I simply, thinking of the energy of those phrases, so not a mental exercise of a verbatim just saying the phrases, but feeling as much as I could that I was sending the energy of I love you, the energy of I'm sorry, the energy of forgive me, the energy of thank you to all of us in this situation. So I sat down, I go within, I'm closing my eyes, I'm picturing us, and I just begin. I begin sending the energy of I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. Now, I ended up staying with that for about 45 minutes. My goal was, I knew the feeling of it needed to change. So again, it wasn't the mental practice of I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. It was, I had to feel what I was getting into. I had to feel myself blessing the situation, blessing each person, including myself, using the four phrases of Ho Oponopono. And what I started doing was, it took a while for me to get into it. And then as I got into it, I could feel the anger lifting. I could feel the frustration that I had towards other people lifting. I could feel it shifting. And when I started feeling it shifting, I knew I was on the right track. And I kept going. And I just kept staying with it. Till I got to this place of really genuine peace for all of us in this meeting. And I felt completely different. I felt very good about everybody. I felt very good about me. I felt very good about us and the situation. But it took, I'll be honest, it took 45 minutes of me going within, seeing our group, seeing all the 8 of us involved, using the phrases of I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. I kept focusing on the energy of those phrases, and literally it did take, but it was 45 minutes, but at the end of those 45 minutes, I felt the difference. I felt me different. I felt different towards each person, and I truly felt the situation different. Now, next day, End of day. I'll just fast forward. I come back to my hotel room, and I'm just sort of giddy. It's just where do we get some words? Not sure where giddy comes from, and not sure why it popped in. But there you go. But it was an amazing day. We accomplished so much in that day. Everybody got along. There was none of the crap from the day before. And it was so significant. It was so different. It wasn't slightly different. It was so dramatically different that I really had to stop and just wonder for sure, how much did that blessing to move myself to an emotional different place have to do with the situation improving, versus had I not done anything different and stayed in this place of angst and frustration and anger and just irritability with everybody, had I just shown up the next day ready for another day of that. And I truly believe, because I stayed with it, even though it took 45 minutes, I stayed with it till emotionally things shifted, that was the key. So there's a guy I study named Joe Dispenza, who's he blends science and spirituality quite well. And in a book he has called You Are the Placebo, one of his quotes is, "When you change your energy, you lift matter to a new mind." And again, I'm reading from Divine Dirt, and I'm reading from Blessing a Situation using Ho Oponopono. But when you change your energy, you lift matter to a new mind, and your body vibrates at a faster frequency. Now, like I mentioned, each of the phrases has a vibration, has a frequency to it. And so, excuse me, mental note, don't sit right in the pollen for future shows. But because if you think of it, these phrases have an energy to them, and when you use them and go within to bless a situation or yourself, like I did with that group, you're sending energy to it in a real way if you stay with it. And I kind of went to my heart with it. And the key, though, it was not an analytical exercise. It wasn't me just parroting 4 phrases. It was me feeling those 4 phrases. And it was me staying with it till I felt different about everybody in that group. And your feeling is key to, I think, when we bless things like that. Are you staying with it? Are you feeling what you're doing when you are supposedly or say you're blessing something? And if you can feel it, I believe, then you know it's working. I talk about it in my book, Manifest a Better Life with God, and I talk about it in a few of the chapters in here. But your emotions, to me, are how we know, are we aligning with our divine and true self? That God consciousness, that divine consciousness, which I think makes up everything. When I feel relief, when I feel peace, when I feel I really genuinely want good for others, if you will, to me, those positive emotions are letting you know you are lining up with the way the divine, your true self, knows things to be. When you feel the anger, the hatred, the frustration, like I did at the end of that day of that meeting, what it means is the way I am seeing or envisioning or focusing on us and them is very out of alignment with my true self. So you have your divine self and you have where I'm focusing, and when they're not in alignment, you feel that difference, and that difference is our emotions, and that difference in a negative way means I'm off. So using the 4 phrases of I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, and thank you was a way and is a way to bless a situation, but you need to stay with it till you genuinely feel different. I went from feeling really hatred, anger, irritable, dreading the next day. Now, 45 minutes later, I felt amazing, but I had to stay with that for the 45 minutes. And then my emotions kept shifting, and my emotions were telling me, you are getting more aligned with your divine self. Using these phrases, feeling them, was getting me in the right place. And then I stayed with it. Now, like I said, at the end of the next day, it was an amazing day. And it was significantly different, so much so that something went on for sure. So I offer that to you, the 4 phrases of I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you. It's called Ho Oponopono. Zero Limits was the book. I talk about it in my book, Manifest a Better Life with God, and it's in Divine Dirt, and it's a chapter called Blessing a Situation Using Ho Oponopono. But even today, as you're out and about, if you've got a situation, you've got some angst, maybe you've got some frustration, maybe you've even got some hatred. Hello, Chuck. Hello, Troy. And use the phrases, but again, remember, it's not a mental thing. Go here, feel yourself blessing it with the phrases. Stay with it till you feel different. That's the only thing you can control. But your feeling different has a tremendous amount to do with what's going to happen in your world. I get into that in my book in another chapter also. All right, so there you go. I appreciate you tuning in. I love you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Thank you. Feel the energy of it. Use the phrases. Bless a situation. Follow up. If you end up doing it or you've had an experience with Ho Oponopono and you've already tried it, I'd love to hear maybe how that has worked for you. All right. So again, I'm Michael LeBlanc. These are Divine Dirt Inspirations. They're based off of my new book, Divine Dirt, on Amazon, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at createwithconsciousness.com or michael@createwithconsciousness.com. Also, one more thing, just a couple of things coming up. So this Saturday at 9 a.m. Central, and if you go to my Facebook personal page, or if you go to Create with Consciousness, Michael LeBlanc, my business page, you'll see a virtual training I'm doing Saturday. I'll put the link in here in a minute. And it's called Return to Wholeness, and it's about blessing and balancing your energy centers. But I incorporate processes like Reiki, a breath technique, and I incorporate Ho Oponopono into the blessing process. I use Ho Oponopono 2 different ways in the process, and I'll go into that in the training. But if you're interested, just check that out. And again, I'll put the link here in a minute. And I think that's it. You have a great day wherever you may be. Again, thanks for chiming in. Please say hello. I see Hasey out there. I see Katie out there. Thanks for joining. And I will see you all next Tuesday. I have no clue which Divine Dirt chapter is going to happen. Also in Divine Dirt, just because I'm thinking about it, there's all these pictures came from my garden. And there's gardening tips in the back of the book. So if you love any of the flowers that are based in the book, you can go to the back and there's some brief gardening tips around there. If you decide, wearing something that's inspirational or drinking from something that's inspirational, you can go to divinedirt.net, and then there's a series of products I'm starting to create. And really the idea behind the products is, I believe images and words can have, they do have energy, but they can uplift or they can bring things down. So all my products, and even these and my book, is all about putting energy out there that's going to help uplift, right? So there you go. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you soon. Please add a comment. I'll come back around in a little while and follow up with you. Again, if you struggle, if you need, just reach out, right? Michael at createwithconsciousness.com, or go to my website, createwithconsciousness.com, or just message me. Thanks. Bye.